Welcome to Redvee TV's Instant Fan Reaction, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2021 season, as we reflect on Saints' 18 points to 10 victory over the Huddersfield Giants this evening at the John Smith Stadium. Tonight, joined by Kev and Peter as always, and our Scottish friend, Peter Elder. Peter, I'll start with yourself. First impressions from that tonight?
Well, I don't do impressions, but get the terrible joke in nice and early. And before I say anything, on behalf of myself and Neil Conley, expect the lawsuit for the Super League comments in the previous show. The litigation's incoming. Regarding the game tonight, a little bit kind of meh. You know, we've won. We're 4 from 4, which is a great position. You can't really be in any better position. I can't help feeling that we left a bigger victory out there. Yet the defence was really, really good, particularly in the first half. But we probably should have been more points in front. Attack is still a little bit of a concern for me. I'm sure it will come. But I feel that we were almost maybe at times too conservative, thinking that, 2-3 tries is enough to win this game, which ultimately it was. But I think, it's probably filed under a win is a win. It was nothing special. It was a tricky game. I've seen in Sky before the game, they mentioned Huddersfield had lost 8 Super League matches on the bounce. And from being confident, I was thinking, oh, here we go. We've seen this film before where a team that hasn't won in ages pulls off a surprising victory. But, we were in control for most of the game. I just felt that we were probably a couple of gears below where we could have possibly been. Did we need to go there? Maybe not. But I think the overall impression for me is the attack needs a little bit of work still.
Kev, attack.
Yeah, it was hard fought. That's it. We've said it time and time again that so far our attack hasn't clicked, we keep going through this process. I've seen our good friend Kevin Cunningham has said that he doesn't like this process that we go through and that we should be playing with a bit more freedom. But you've got to earn that right. You can't just turn up from minute one and start passing it about and throwing it about. You've got to get yourself in that position. You've got to get the game, it's not necessarily safe, but you've got to be in control of the game, which I think we were in the first half. I wasn't worried by Huddersfield one bit in the first half. But then the second, they get repeat set after repeat set after repeat set, and they managed to get over. One thing that I think kind of eluded me, and I should have listened to some of the previews I did with Huddersfield fans before the season started, they were all saying their biggest signing wasn't on field. It was the fitness coach that Ian Watson had brought across from Salford. And he said that's what they need to stay in games, to show fitness and to kind of take that next step on. And tonight, I think that was proof of that still our fitness and our game management and our smarts were there. But Huddersfield, fair play to them, they started doing almost like we did in the Challenge Cup final against Warrington, where you start throwing it about and don't stick to your game plan. And they made a couple of soft errors in the past 10 minutes. I think we'll have learned more from that performance, especially from minute 40 to Lomax scoring and then the last 10 minutes. I think we'll have learned more from that than we would if we were sat here discussing a 34 points to 6 win again.
Yeah. For me, listen, we only scored 18 points tonight, but when people are saying our attack isn't clicking, it's not as flowing as it could possibly be, which will come over the summer when we hit them drier tracks every week. But with the league's top scorers, nobody's scored any more points than us. We've played 5 games this year. We've scored 29, 25, 26, 34, 18 on a cold, windy night in Huddersfield. Now, I think we talked on the preview show saying Huddersfield's always usually a really tricky place for us to go. And we've come unstuck there many times over the years. At no point during tonight's game did I ever think that performance or win was in doubt. From the minute we scored the first points of the game, I always felt that we were going to win the game. the defence is absolutely rock solid. And do you know what? There's more than just attacking games. Our defence is the most ferocious, rabid defence that I think I've seen at Saints in many a year. And if it carries on like this until the end of the season, it's going to set records.
I think you can hold that view and also hold the view that our attack isn't clicking as such. The amount of ball that we did have in the first half, as you say, we're in control. And I've said it as well. I had no worries about Huddersfield, especially in that first half. They were nowhere near our line. They had one effort, didn't they, down in the corner when, to be honest, we got away with one with Nagama tackling the winger in the air. But sometimes you just think, you know what, and it will come. It doesn't have to come now, 4 games in. It will come that attack will go through the gears. But it's about mixing it as well and having your game management. You're not going to go out and there's no God-given right for St Helens or any club in this league to go out and win every game 40-0. None at all. So it will come and we will put some big scores on teams, especially now it's drying up and it's the weather's getting a little bit nicer. We'll put some scores on some teams. Don't worry about that.
Peter, I think you mentioned it earlier on, obviously saying you didn't think we got out of second or third gear. Is it just a case of at this point in the year we're playing within ourselves a little bit?
Possibly, certainly attack. I mean, in terms of getting out of second or third gear, that's not the case of the defensive side of the game. I mean, we're obviously right at it from the first minute in that instance. Although, and especially when we were getting hammered by 6 against quite frequently, whether it's something we're doing, I don't know. I don't think we were slowing the ball down any more than Huddersfield were. But which obviously puts a bit of extra pressure on the defence. But defensively, more than happy and firing really, really well. As you say, it really is just about winning at this time of the season, building it up, getting there. Perhaps we're not, I suppose, showing all our cards at this stage of the season. And obviously with a bit of a reshuffle tonight, Percy coming in, playing right centre for the first time in years. I think he only played there his first couple of years at Saints. He's always been left centre since then. And obviously Kev moving to the wing, and then Percy went off late in the game, which I wasn't surprised about. I didn't expect him to play the full 80. So there's perhaps that kind of reshuffle as well. Maybe when you get a settled back line, we'll see a little bit more, and we might actually, when you get a dry track, throw it around. Maybe next week against Lee might be an opportunity to try a few things, although we need to earn the right first, as you correctly say, Kev. But I'm not discouraged. I don't want to be too negative. I think through Redvee Instant fan reaction history, that's certainly Kev's usual position. But if we're not entirely satisfied with the attack, and we've won 4 games out of 4, and we have the best attack, it shows that we are doing something right and that we're capable of so much better. And as you say yourself, Dave, I've no doubt that we will absolutely hit our straps in the not too distant future.
I think that's a very good point before you carry on, Dave, that we are at the minute, and I think most teams are doing as well. You're mixing and matching players who are getting little knocks, and you're not getting kind of the continuity that you want. So, for example, as you say, Peter, Mark Percival comes in, plays right centre for 50 minutes, 60 minutes. Then James Bentley goes in there. So all of a sudden, Kevin Nagama's in a different position than he usually is, with 2 different centres on his inside. It's a matter, as we keep saying, it's a matter of getting the wins. Once we start being able to play our preferred players in those positions, or we start getting a run of games where we go, right, well, you know what, whoever is injured and out for a while, like Jack Wellesby's come into Percival's place and not been dislodged by him and stayed in that left centre position. And that's when things will start working. Joel Thompson will start getting better because he knows what Jack Wellesby's going to do. He knows where Regan Grace is going to be. It'll all start clicking. We can't just expect it off the back of 1 trial game and 4 league games for us to be putting 50, 60, 70 points on a team.
Yeah, I wanted to come to Jack Wellesby next. Obviously, he started again tonight at left centre, had a hand in another one of the tries. And I think when we talked at the start of the season, we said, despite his heroics in the grand final, he probably wouldn't have been in Saints' best lineup if you were writing a team out at that moment in time. And it was a big year for him. Obviously, he's a utility player. He'll get plenty of games. But with his performances over the opening 4 games, is he now creating a welcome headache for Christian Wolf? Because it's going to be very difficult for him to be left out, Peter?
Well, funny enough, when you were talking there, a question popped into my head. Is like, is Jack Wellsby now the nailed-on left centre? The fact that he didn't move to accommodate Percy, because Percy could have played left centre, Jack maybe moving to either right centre or right wing. But the fact that Percy was brought back in on the other side, I can't help thinking now that Jack Wellsby, as you say, is not just earned the right to be considered, but may well be, given Percival's injury record, the starting left centre now, which would be a very interesting position. I'm not writing Percival off. It was great to see him back, great to see him going over for a try, great to see him running the ball in really hard. You could tell he was rusty, but it was fantastic to see him carrying in, taking some big hits and recovering from them. He's going to need 2 or 3 of those games, I think. Hopefully again next week at Lee as well. But I think Jack Wellsby, as you say, it's perhaps not so much giving Christian Wolf a headache. He's almost say he's giving Christian Wolf no choice but to keep him in there.
I do want to pull you up.
It would probably. Sorry, Dave. It would probably. Exchange me interrupting you. It's easy to get carried away with Jack Wellsby, and we've just got to.
But I can mute you still. Go on, carry on.
I'll mute myself there, I suppose. It's easy to get carried away, but while he's in this rich vein of form, let's enjoy him. Don't forget, he's only played 35 games for the club at the age of 20. But at the minute, there ain't nobody like Jack Wellsby. He makes me
break
happy.
into a song then.
Makes me feel this way. Ain't nobody like Jack Wellsby.
Right, Peter, I do want to come back. I want to pull you up about Mark Percival's injury record. It seems to be getting perpetuated that he's forever injured. He had a shoulder injury that was caused at the start of the last season against Warrington, and I think it was done in the tackle. And obviously, he did his hamstring in August, which obviously finished the season. And now, obviously, as he's coming back in, he's getting like an odd muscle injury here and there, as you do when you've been out for so long. Before that, he was consistently fit. He's not. I'm not having it that he's a sick note. I'm going to defend Mark Percival.
No, I definitely didn't use the phrase sick note. It's obviously only been the last year and a half that he's had unfortunate problems.
That. It's not even a year and a half. 6 months.
Well, the whole of 2020.
No,
pretty much apart from 5 games.
Yeah, but he got the shoulder injury, and we stopped the season for bloody 5 months.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm not having that. Poor Mark Percival.
No.
Right. Okay, next question then. I had the brainwave, and this is why I'm not a rugby league coach.
Here we go.
The way Mark Percival was running the ball in at speed, if he could learn to not knock on or drop it in the tackle, could he ever move into playing back row?
If he could learn to not knock on or drop it in the tackle,
the amount of time.
Do you not think? I mean,
the amount of time he went in with speed tonight.
I'll just carry this a little bit looser this time. You know what? What is that?
I'm joking. I'm joking. It just felt like he ran it in a couple of times tonight, and obviously they were a bit loose, the carries. But yeah, the point is there. Could he play in the back row in years to come?
Possibly. We've had this conversation with Tommy Makinson, haven't we? Don't necessarily want to keep moving players further and further in field. He possibly could, but at the minute, let's just keep him at centre. He's quick, he's strong. He gets a bad rap with regards to not giving the ball to his winger by people who obviously don't watch rugby league. So yeah, leave him at centre.
Right, we've talked a lot about Saints. In recent weeks, we've seen us obviously grind it out a little bit in the first half, put all that pressure on, and race away in the second half of games. Does it just say a lot about Huddersfield tonight and Ian Watson? He's getting to grips with with the Giants team that they made it tough for us in that second half, and they're coming on. Kev?
I think so. Sorry, anyway.
No, I'll let Peter take that one. I've
Peter.
done enough talking tonight.
All right, no, there was a wee gap there. I wasn't sure who it was going to. But no, listen, I think Ian Watson will do a fantastic job at Huddersfield. I tipped him to be in the top 6, and I still maintain that. I think they'll move up the table. He's a brilliant coach. Obviously, he's had the foresight to bring his fitness coach, and you've seen Huddersfield finish the game very strongly, despite having so much territory against them and possession against them in the first half. They didn't look, any more tired than we did, on the final hooter, which is to their credit. The fact that they hung in, they didn't get out of the game. They kept themselves in it. They kept trying things. I think certainly. I think again that was only Aiden Caesar's second game of the season. When he gets more minutes in his legs, I think they are going to go. Use him a lot more. They will win games without any shadow of a doubt. They will move up that table, and I think they will be certainly in the top half, and in with a shout of being in the playoffs at the end of the season. You've seen what Ian Watson did at Salford. The guy's a magnificent coach, genuinely magnificent coach, and I think he will do the trick at Huddersfield, absolutely.
Okay, we'll bring up some of the tweets, which probably don't necessarily reflect what we've been talking about as much. I think it's a bit more critical. Bride the Blue starts off unbeaten, top of the league, but I don't think we're putting more than 50 good minutes in a game. In attack, maybe. Defensively, I think we've been spot on pretty much every game. Gareth Fishwick, where has Percy gone again? Come on, he's a great player, but why are we carrying him? The lad's coming back to fitness. What?
Yeah, measured return, that.
Yeah,
it was a measured return tonight.
I think we've seen when we've tried to throw him in for 80 minutes in, coming back from injury, that's what's caused reoccurrences. You just protect the lad, and I think that's, again, harsh. Norm de Plume, apart from one bad defensive read and dodge shimmy, he sticks by his half-time assessment, which he thinks were terrible in attack. I did ask him to reassess on 80 minutes, so fair enough, he's come back. Still stuck with his assessment.
Fair dues. Yeah.
Phil Gilbert, but not tonight, a bit of 5 drives to kick that second half. Yeah, we didn't race away like we normally do, and I think we've alluded to that, talking about Huddersfield, haven't we? Stephen Bose, referring to Joel Thompson against Dom Peru, different types of player. I'm not sure I've seen Joel break a tackle yet, but I've not seen him miss one either. Is that a really good assessment?
Yeah, probably so. He's I think it's like when Zeb came over, and at first we were a little bit like he wasn't necessarily fitting into our system straight away, but just give him time. That's it. Peru, when Peru first came in, and he was playing a little bit of centre, a little bit of second row, he didn't look like he was a Saints quality player at all, and it took him a couple of seasons to kind of win the fans over. So I'm sure Joel will do the same in no time at all.
I think Joel's part of the reason our defence is stiffened. He's Mr. Reliable, isn't he? And I think until he misses a couple of games, we won't realise what we're missing.
Mm-hmm. If I can come in there, I think people are getting caught up with comparing him with Zeb Tay, and you're not comparing apples with apples. Zeb was a totally different animal. Zeb was all about the offloads. Joe is an absolute workhorse. As I say, he's just getting used to linking up with Jack Wellesby, and he'll do it more with Lachlan Coote as well, probably coming into the line and getting the short passes. That's only, Coote's only back himself. So I think it's very early. As you said, Kev, a one trial game, 4 Super League games and a cup tie. He's early in his Saints career, and I think he's going to be a no-nonsense, hard-working second row that we absolutely need, and I think the best of them is absolutely yet to come.
Bridge, bought the 5th tackle options poor. It's either a chip and Vars or a power play. The only time we put Grubbers in, we got 2 repeat sets and a try. We haven't played a top team yet, but we need to be better than that. Do you remember years ago when we used to say Saints used to play to the standard of the opposition? So you'd play Salford at home, we were terrible at the time, and we'd win 40 points to 34 or something daft like that. Are you in any doubt that we won't up our game when it comes down to it?
I think literally as we go through the season, our game will get better and better and better. Whether other teams keep up with us, that's another matter. Some teams might play better than us, as I say. There's no God-given right for Saints to go out there and be the best team on the park. You've got to earn it. But yeah, I've at the minute no doubts that allying a slightly better attack to that defence, and we probably put another 20 points on Huddersfield tonight.
Yeah,
I think for me, I don't want our fans to turn into Florentino Perez. And it feels like
nobody does.
We've got like, if I was a Cass fan or a Hull FC fan or a Leeds fan watching this, I'd be thinking, like reading some of the stuff, you'd think, oh my God, you'd swap places in a heartbeat with their teams to play like we are. And I think, I don't want to still begin to sound spoiled.
Yeah, I do get Bert's point though, where it does seem to be that the kick goes into them kind of corners, but that's a percentage thing. I think it's just a case of we're winning the game, we're managing it, and I think it's good working on your game management from time to time. Again, you can't just start throwing it about just because Joe Bloggs in Nut Grove wants you to win by 40 because he's done that on his coupon.
It's Chain Lane, so we're not referring to him. But no, I'm not referring to his tweet there at all. I think it's just the vibe, as you'll see as we go through. Sean Bibby, we look very good when on top, but the first time these decided to challenge us this season, they have pulled us around the field. Have they? Did they pull us to their own try line for 40 minutes in the first half? Because they never got near our try line. Lesser sides would have lost tonight, but much tougher test to come and we need to up our game. Yeah, fair enough, maybe. But again, we probably, as Peter said earlier, we never go out to second or third gear. The Saints scrappy and underwhelming in the second half after dominating in the first. Giants improved, to be fair, but frustrating with our one-up tactics at times. 2 points to move on. Phil Leavesley, looking posh as ever down in London. Huddersfield put up a good fight in the second half, but making a habit of playing pretty poorly yet. Not even looking like we're anywhere close to losing. Salmon Shorts crew. Okay. Duke Silver, another win, another performance lacking in any real kind of attacking coherence. But we're scoring the points. These puppets are terrible. Kev and Peter aren't that bad. They're wearing blinkers when they're watching.
I knew that was coming.
We're constantly getting players wrong. And they want the commentary team from the our league app. So, right, we're gone. We know they're on about us.
I think that's right from Neil. I hate it when they get players wrong. I mean, come on. Just because I think tonight one of them was Lomax taking it in for the commentary team, but it was Sione Mitautia.
Yeah.
Just because they both got head guards on. I mean, come on.
It was Kevin Nagama knocking on in front of the sticks, and it was Alex Walmsley. Don't know how I get that one wrong. John Finney, another win. Defence great overall again. My God, it's boring to watch at the moment. The attack needs to improve when we play decent teams. I never find us boring to watch when we're winning games. That's just me. That's life when you grew up as an Everton fan. You win at all costs. God knows what you feel like supporting Motherwell, Peter. And you, Burnley.
I'm happy with. I'm happy with 4 wins in a row, so I'm not complaining.
Jamie Pinder, not convinced Mook will take it. About to sound like these fans who hammer Wolf at every opportunity. Feels like the attack needs more fluidity. Doesn't help when we give away restarts and penalties like they're going after fashion. Do you know what? I'm looking at this with Redvee spectacles on, but the teams seem to get twice as long to lie on in the tackle than we do.
A bit of me thinks with these set restarts, and again, as you say, we're looking at it with our Redvee tinted specs on. Can we get a ref in to say why we're giving so many away? Because all you hear from Hicks saying, like, hand on the ball. Right, okay, so is that what we've got to clear up? Let's get it sorted and get it cleared up and stop putting ourselves in that position. The thing where Jamie mentions Bentley there, unfortunately, you start taking Bentley's aggression out of the game, you've not got the same player. So while it's frustrating, unfortunately, you've got to take the odd penalty with Bentley to keep that kind of aggression in your pack. It's a little bit like Sonny Nickel. You knew every so often he was going to stick a punch on someone. And you just put up with it because it was Sonny Nickel.
Matt thinks we were terrible tonight. Players we have should at least done attacking flair. We look like we were training 100% defence and no attacking drills. Again, Redvee, thought not sure our attack's anywhere near ready. Big test, we play better teams. In truth, we haven't played anyone yet. Our left edge looked wide open, but it's a win. Did he? I don't know.
I think just because they scored down our left-hand side, didn't they? And they just done the numbers.
Yeah.
So.
Charlton State seems cheerless to complain when we're winning, but the attack's a bit. If I hadn't seen so rich as I could live with being poor.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I'll take that for tonight. Again, but we don't want to end up coming across as spoiled. Ian, scoring 3 tries and conceding 2 against a Huddersfield side still to win a game isn't quite good enough. Winning by 1's good enough, technically.
I think it's probably looking at the expectation we had going into the game, isn't it? And a lot of people were thinking, these aren't good. But
I think me and Kev obviously are always optimistic in our predictions, and even we said 16.
Yeah.
So we weren't miles away. David Rigby needed to have made more of a dominant first half. Thought Thompson was playing too much in the middle in the second half, which goes well as being Grace. Is Caesar the new Tom Daly? If he is, then his diving partner's Lee Gaskell. That penalty in the first half for Bentley grazing his head. Bizarre. Core thought it was a hard-fought win, very patient. No panic, which scores the win, still funky in attack. Joggy thought 4 from 4, not what you call entertaining rugby. One man drives every 6 for the first 4 tackles, every sad tad repetitive. Stuart Ross thought it was an arm wrestling match. Matt again for being caught with the ball in the last 3 times doesn't help either, which, game management to take that one. And from the Facebook to finish off, Pat Wilson did just enough. First half, extremely dominant, so a bit disappointed to be pegged back to 8 points up. Hypercritical, our execution needs to be a lot better in big games. Damien thought it won't always be perfect. Tonight shows that we can do the dirty work and grind out the results. Steve Crooks wins a win. And Scott Taylor with the definitive Huddersfield did well and we were poor.
Not that well. They got beat.
Yeah, correct.
I agree with Steve's point about Lewis Dodd there, getting involved. Maybe not so much the new Longy, but brilliant bit of play to set up Johnny Lomax for the crucial try. And it was good to see him being trusted to be brought on at a time in the game where the game wasn't done by any stretch of the imagination. So a big raps to Lewis Dodd for a really good intrusion into the line and a brilliant assist.
Yeah, is it a case of this year? We've obviously trying to make sure Jack Wellesby gets involved. We're giving Wingfield minutes. We're getting Lewis Dodd in the side. Are we going through a bit of a transition year while still looking likely and being favourites to win everything, Kev?
Yeah, you could look at it that way, I suppose. It doesn't feel like a transition year, though, does it? No, because as you say, because we're still like obviously top of the league, and we're still winning games, and it is just dipping people in and kind of building for the future. It doesn't feel like a transition year, but you could, I get where you're coming from with that.
Because obviously we've got some players off contract at the end of the year. We don't know what the future holds for Theo Barrs, Lachlan Cooke, Kevin Nagama, James Roby's coming to the end. But we're not even skipping a beat. We're not knocking off, are we? And like, look at like Leeds downfall, how low they've sunk. And we're still winning every week at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. Leeds perhaps didn't do what we were doing. They didn't gradually introduce enough of our young talent when the old guard, if you like, were coming to the end. Whereas you look at Lewis Dodd getting more and more game time and looking very much the Super League player. I'm really impressed again with Jake Wingfield. Ran it in hard, didn't look out of place. I'm delighted. Jack Wellesby's taken to like a duck to water. what a penny for Aaron Smith's thoughts though. What's his future? He's 25 now. He's not a kid by any stretch of the imagination, and he'd have been hoping to get some more game time, as I think we've alluded to at the start of this season. It was a big year for him, and he seems to have been not cast aside, but Lewis Dodds seems to have overtaken him in the role to be the interchange. Whether I'll get some game time later in the year, I don't know, but I feel for Aaron Smith. His time might be not necessarily up, but he's getting fewer and fewer chances now to prove that he's the man to take over from Robes. But it's good to see the young guys getting their chance, and as you say, it's not affecting results. We're putting them in bit by bit, not throwing them all in together, except that Salford game last year, but that was exceptional circumstances. But I'm very, very pleased with how the young guys have taken to it this year.
Yeah, I think Aaron Smith, he'll come again. He'll get another chance. I think Christian Wolf's already said that. But I think when he does come back in the side, it's probably going to be his big final chance, and he's going to have to take it, because I think the writing's not necessarily on the wall, but yeah, you do fear for his future. Right, we've got a couple of minutes left in this video. Final thoughts from you first, Kev?
Don't be too downhearted, Saints fans, about the fact we haven't put double the number of points we did tonight on them. It might be a little bit clunky, but the defence is strong enough where that attacking play will come. We've no divine right, as I keep saying, to go out, throw the ball about and win games by 40, 50, 60. And at this stage of the season, just keep putting the points on the board. I think we say at the start and the end of the season, just win your games. You win the last couple of games in the season, I tell you what, this win against Huddersfield will be forgotten.
Peter?
Yeah, I completely echo what Kev says. The attack doesn't need to improve. I think everybody knows that. I'm sure it will. We've not put a full 80-minute performance in yet. I've no doubt that we'll do that plenty of times this season. More than likely, we'll do it in those games that it really, really matters. We're 4 from 4. We're away at Lee next week, which is a fairly winnable game. Then a cup quarter final at home against Huddersfield too. Although they're improving, again, you would look at us being in a good position to win that one. So, yeah, it's not been perfect tonight, but we're 4 from 4. We've dealt with a tricky potential banana skin fixture, and let's just be happy. We're starting this weekend at the top of the table. So it's not all bad, is it? Let's be honest.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Just before I give you my final thoughts, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will catch you next week for another Redvee preview show ahead of the league game. I hope you find some happiness over the weekends, you two, in your future endeavours. But until next time, take care of yourself and each other.